Hello guys and welcome to our brand new video. Today I'm here with Nichijou episode number 15 reaction. Okay, the previous episode Nano goes to school, the first day of her school, and before going to school, she was very happy about the whole she's going to wear a uniform, she's going to go to school, thinking about all those different scenarios. She was just happy, just in front of the mirror, just looking at the school uniform all the time. She even she was like showing it off to Sakamoto, showing it off to Hakase as well. And yeah, it was like we could see how excited she was. But there's one problem that she was thinking about. She was like, what am I going to do with the key that is in my bag? And she tries her best to kind of act as if it's not a big deal in front of everyone when she introduces herself. But yeah, she ends up kind of messing up, and people kind of get a little bit more suspicious. Everyone's like, like, why is she talking about the key that so many times? But yeah, obviously everyone kind of just dismissed it by thinking it was probably cosplay or something like that. But turns out Yuko was the only person who kind of said something like, oh, maybe that she's a robot, which technically is the truth. And Mio was like, what the hell are you saying? Like, stop it. That's rude. And yeah, and then we have like one of the biggest, I wouldn't say biggest, but like one of the most um, crazy uh, verbal, like quarrel, I guess you could say, between Yuko and Mio, where Mio told Yuko to bring like lunch for her, yakisoba. She heard it was yakisaba, which means fried mackerel, and that's what she brought. She ended up using all her money, and by the end of it, she's like left with no food, and she's pissed off. She just starts screaming. She's like, "Yeah, you all the time you act stupid," and she's like, "Don't call me stupid." Like, just back and forth, back and forth. She kind of insults her drawing, and she's like, again, Mio gets pissed off at that. While everything is happening, all Nano is like still in shock, but she kind of comes around, and later on gets to see how the quarrel kind of stops, and they start complimenting each other, and they becomes better friends, I guess. And Nano was like, wow, I saw something really amazing today. And after going back home, she kind of narrates that to Hakase, I'm guessing. So let's see what happens in this episode. I'm guessing we're going to see more of Nano in school. So yeah, let us begin. I'll be putting the subtitles and the timer here. Sync it to whichever is your preference, and let's get started. All right, here's the countdown. 3, 2, 1, go. What? Why? Oh. Oh boy, she's still saying that she's a. Okay, so. uh, Um. How? Oh, I don't. Yeah, that's not gonna be good. She's like, I have a plan, which usually doesn't end up well most of the time. All right. Oh boy. Oh, is she going to ask her maths? Um, yeah, there you go. Obvious. All your functions. Wait. Oh. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Begin. Oh my god. Well, there you go. You have your proof. Oh no. Okay, she's gonna get big. Okay, she's not in shock. Thankfully. Oh no. I feel like. Oh no. I feel like. I was gonna say like. Wait. Oh my god. Ah, Mio is here. What the? Wait, why? Why are you taking it? No, oh, okay. She put it back. Okay. Ah. Oh. Oh my god. Hmm. She's eating. No, she. Even if she's a robot, I don't think she's going to eat it. There you go. She's used to it. Hakase. Wait. Oh, okay. Oh no. Ah! Oh my god. Instead of teeth falling, her screws come up. Yo! Caught it! Okay. Um. Okay. What now? Hey yo, what? That's the principal's statue, isn't it? No. What? What? Wait. Does this person know? Oh my god. Wait a minute. Is this a lady? From the opening, I thought this was like a male teacher. Oh yeah. Wait, what? Okay, I feel like that's not what. Okay, this is a female teacher. Okay, I didn't realize that. What are you doing? Okay, what is she doing? Tranquilizers. Is this legal? What is happening? What is some? Is this what teachers do in school? Oh my god. Is Wait, did she like miss? Oh no. She I knew that's what happened. she she drank it. Well, she's fine. Short circuit. Mr. Short Circuit. Nakamura. Okay, that's okay. Is this a male or a female? I'm not sure still. I think that's a female, most probably. Okay. Oh my god. The hand. She's like, well, I have this function as well. Oh god. What is? Oh boy, she's going to just be like, no. Why? Oh boy. She is kind of. Oh my god. Oh boy. Yo. I think this is a bigger problem. Yo, what? Is that a gun? What is that? Stop! Oh, thank God, it's BB bullets. No, wait, what are those? Oh, those are beans, I think. Yeah. Okay. I don't think that will be the. You toe USB. Man, कसम. Oh, oh my God. There goes her. Wait, what's happening? Okay, well, yeah. What the hell is that? Oh, that's fish cake. Stop. What's happening here? Oh, no, okay, I don't think that's the principles. That's something else. She added more functions on in her. Oh my God. Oh my god, it's the rice cake fair again. Oh my god. Oh, it's continuing. Oh. Like I said, don't talk. Rice cakes don't talk. Yeah. Science preparation. Oh god, this she's still. Miss Nakamura, there you go. Oh god. Mr. Short. That's what she was talking about. Okay. I feel like someone else is going to come and they're going to get tased completely. It'll be so funny if this is the principal or something. Who is this? Oh no, it's him. He's always like he always gets the short end of the stick. Yo, stop. You do realize that's not the person you wanted? Now what? Exactly, the Joe Star technique, you know? Wait, oh, are they like siblings? Their hairstyle is so same. Yeah, they're siblings. Well, you can clearly see, look at their faces. Maki. Oh boy. Yo, calm down. First of all, this is a student. Oh! Oh god, this guy, what's up? China dress. Exactly. Ordinarily, okay. Oh my, yo, what's up with the dog? What That's a crazy dog. Oh my god. Oh. Well, some this guy, what? Listen closely. Yes! Takes care of all the problems. Well, maybe he sleeps like that. Who knows, you know? The siblings, my god. Yeah. fast. That's fast. Oh, is that so? God. Oh, okay, that was nice. Love like. Wait, who's this? Is this a new cat? Who's this? Ah, okay, that was random. Okay, well, I'm glad they're having fun. Daily calendar? What is. Oh! She wanted to push it so bad. Yep. What the? Belly roll on the high jump. Wait, what? But she wouldn't, I think. I think she's talking about something else. Yeah, she's talking about something else. I knew that's what something like that was going to happen. Hmm? I forgot. Oh, wow. Oh boy. Okay. What? Oh no. What? Wow, what's happening? Well, so this is the new function. Yes. Oh no! Off she goes. Okay. Oh boy. Okay, I'm hoping she comes down after this. Like she's on her way, so Hey yo, what's happening over there? That dog and random stuff. Okay. Wait, there's something left? Helvetica standard? Ah! He finally has a hair. Sakakibara Yoshiko? Was that the name? Just a sec. Sakakibara Yoshiko. I don't think I've heard this voice before. Sakakibara Yoshiko. Or maybe I just cannot recognize it. Oh, wait. Oh my god, just a sec. No, just. Okay, I cannot see that many. Like, she did quite a few. Uh, Quite a few shows in the 1980s. Quite a lot of shows there. But other than that, yeah, that's why I wasn't able to recognize her. I've not seen that many shows which where she has was acted. So yeah, I think this is the first time, like, I actually wasn't able to recognize a single character who was acted by this particular person. So Sakaki Bara Yoshiko. Okay. Anyways, all right. So this episode, uh, we again witness what's happening in school, Nano's new school life, how it's going. And the first thing that we see is obviously Yuko, as always, just saying like, oh, I'm pretty sure she's a robot, let's ask her mathematical questions, and if she's a robot she can easily answer it. So obviously Mio is like, what the hell are you saying? Like, like, obviously she's not a robot. And but Yuko, like, as always, Yuko's just very, is just very curious about these type of things and just does random stuff. uh, so she goes and asks Nano about, gives a big equation to solve, and like, she brings out the first thing that she does is like, okay, you can use your functions. And she's like, all right, fine, I'm going to use that. And she brings out like an abacus, starts calculating. So she literally thought like, oh, she's probably talking about the, like, like the abacus or something like that. That's what she meant by function, where obviously Yuko meant that her robotic functions. Unfortunately, I do wonder, I don't think Hakase gave her like that type of, yeah, I don't think she gave her that type of an ability where, just she can just easily calculate that stuff. Like, Nano is like, even if she is a robot, she is, most of the things, she's completely human. Like, she cannot, like, she doesn't have like super fast speed or like, super strength, stuff like this that we usually see robots have now and, like, like here and there. So I doubt she has anything like that. Hakase just, like, gave her like a few weird, like weird things. For example, her hand detaches, her toe has an USB in it, and she has a key in her back. These, so, like, these random stuff that Hakase thought that was cute, just gave it to her. I doubt she gave her like, superhuman abilities, like, like super quickly doing calculations, like, like that type of things. None of it. I doubt that. So Like if she actually had those type of abilities, I think that she would probably have used them in like household work that she usually does for Hakase. She goes on her daily life like a normal person, like a human being. So I doubt she has anything of that. So obviously she thought that she was talking about the abacus, and she's like, all right, like, just starts calculating, and Yuko's like, okay, she's she's actually calculating, and she's like a beginner in this. And Yuko later on, Yuko's like, you know what? All right, fine. I'm I have to admit it. She's probably not a robot, and oh my god, I love when she's like, oh, I will, like, let's, like, I'm kind of hungry. Let's eat a little, and she brings out like a flask, and I knew they were going to bring up some kind of a joke which will involve like her, like, drinking oil or something like that. Like, this is a funny thing. Like, she's a robot, and I don't know why, but everyone's, like, mind kind of went in that direction of whether she's going to ingest oil or not. She's not a car that she's going to drink oil or, like, like, consume stuff like that. So I don't know why, but even I thought that she's going to, like, the joke here will be like, oh, does the flask has oil in it or something like that. That will be the joke and the punchline of this part. I don't know why, because yeah, like, robot oil, I guess, like, you can probably oil the corners or the hinges of the robotic, like, metallic parts, to so that it's easier to move. Other than that, what does a robot need of oil? I don't think robot needs oil, do they? I don't think so. So yeah, like that type of a thing. Now everyone's like, oh, this is oil, but she just brings out like a normal, like, soup. And I love how Mio enters, and I knew as soon as Mio entered, something is going to happen. Some kind of a weird stuff is going to start. And as I expected, she brings out like an oil and gives it to him. And she actually accepts it. She's like, oh, thank you. Takes it, and everyone's just surprised. They're like, what the hell? And she puts it back, and Yuko's like, okay, she's going to take it back home. She's not going to drink it. And not only that, Mio doesn't stop. Not Mio, sorry, Mai doesn't stop. Mai brings out a wrench and gives it to her. And I don't know why here Yuko said, like, oh, she's not eating it. Like, who eats a wrench? Like, I don't think any robots eat wrenches. Wait a minute. Was that like a translation error or something? Just a sec. Okay, she gives her the wrench. She's like, oh, thanks for this. Yuko and Mio both are like, she's eating it, and she puts it inside the bag. Why? What type of robot eats wrenches? I don't think there's any robot that exists in the world that eats wrenches. They might need to, like, kind of tighten their screws or something, but eating it? I don't think so. Oh my god, these kids are, like, these girls are just crazy. Oh, and she again puts it back, and he was like, you know what, like, stop, like, enough is enough, like, stop, like, accusing him of her of being a robot, and you might, like, stop doing this weird stuff. If you want to become friends with her normally, not like this. And Yuko's like, I thought you were a robot or stuff like that. And while all of this conversation is happening, they're talking with each other. Nano's like, wait, did my tooth come off or something? Puts her hand in her mouth and a screw comes out. And she just quickly puts it in her bag. So, okay, so I'm guessing for a robot, the teeth doesn't fall. What happens is the screws come out once or twice, I'm guessing. And not only that, this is actually caught live by Mai. She's ready with her recorder, like her video recorder, just ready, completely just taped the whole thing. And that's where it, they kind of cut off. I don't know what happened after that. I'm guessing this is Mai we're talking about. She probably just put the recorder down, put it in her bag, and just went on her own way, saying nothing about the situation, and just doing nothing. Just took the picture, took the video, just left. And I'm pretty sure Nano was as confused at that moment. But okay, now it's so crazy, like so many people are actually like actually suspecting her to be a robot, and which obviously makes sense because there's like a huge key in her bag. So yeah, but still actually suspecting one of your students to be a robot, that's kind of crazy. But either way, we meet a new character here, this science teacher, I'm guessing. Hmm. Her name, what's her name? I think it was Nakamura, something like that. I don't remember. Either way, she is like, okay, I know she's a robot. I need to actually prove it. And she, like, okay, you know what? I'm going to put some sleeping, like, powder in the thing, some kind of tranquilizer in the coffee, and see if it affects her or not. Oh my god. Okay, wait a minute. Her she wants Nano because she's a robot. Oh god. Yeah, I realized that. I forgot that for a moment. She said like like I want to. Where is that part? Here we go. She's like, oh, I want to examine her. I want to examine her, and I want to make her mine. Oh my god. Yup, she is. Again, I can't. You could say another. I wouldn't say mad scientist, but she's kind of there. Crazy in the head a little bit. I feel like. Oh boy. Now, Nano comes in. Okay, so Nakamura, that's her name. She gives her the coffee with the with the tranquilizer in it. She's like, let's see if it tranquilizers work on her. Wait a minute. I'll sick my Mr. Short Circuit that I made yesterday on her. Wait, she, she wait a minute. She mixes the coffee. Okay, there you go. I was like, what happened? She put it in her own like cup as well. That's why later on she herself was feeling the effect of it. Well, I don't know why she did that. She could have easily. I don't know. Like I was going to say she could have easily just like not put the same coffee in her cup, make like a separate batch and already keep it. And when what's her name? When Nana would come in, she'd like make the coffee, put the tranquilizer in it, and put it only in her cup. I don't know why she put it in her cup as well. Okay, like either way, so she gives it to her. She herself also drinks it, and obviously she was ready to make necessary sacrifices for this. So she's almost going to like fall asleep. Like the tranquilizer is working. Nothing happens to Nano, which I guess kind of proves that she is not a human. She's probably a robot, and she wants to like put Mr. Short Circuit Kun, just tase her, but unfortunately the tranquilizers worked pretty well, and she fell asleep. Nano went on her own way. Oh god. Now Nano's going back home, and she's like, oh my god, you know what, I need to tell Akase to take this thing off of me. And not only this thing, like she like watches like some kids playing with like some robot toys, and one of the robot's hands kind of detaches. She's like, oh god, I need to actually like make like talk about the hand problem as well. Like I don't want any detachable hands. Like what's going to happen if my hand suddenly just flies off in the middle of class, and knocks the teacher out or something? I don't know, like it can happen. Imagine her hand just flying off in the middle of the class, knocking Sakura Sensei in this head, and she just faints in the moment, getting knocked out. So yeah, any accidents could happen. Who knows? So she just goes to Hakase. She's like, just take the take the key off. And I think like like the biggest problem here is not the key. The biggest problem here is like her hand, most probably. Her detachable hand. That's the biggest problem here. So obviously Hakase, she brings that, the first thing she brings up is like she has problems sitting. Obviously the key is like a like like a obstruction. So Well, obviously Nano's like, nah, I'm not. Not Nano. Sorry, Hakase's like, no, I'm not going to do it. It's cute. And then she detaches her hand and she sees like there's a gun in her hand. And for a moment, I actually thought there was a real gun, but yeah, like never mind. It looked pretty real, you know. So inside it were beans. Those were beans, you know, nothing much. But she gets pissed off and starts shooting at Hakase with those beans. And she's like, what the hell is this? Like, you know, why did you put it on them? And Hakase is like, no, these are cute. And she's like, no, this is not cute. This is like, you know, this is not ordinary. I'm not an ordinary person like this. You know, no ordinary girls have guns in their hands, and the guns are not cute. And while they're kind of bickering away, the other hand flies off, and inside the other hand is fish cake. She shoots Hakase even more with the beans, and oh god. And then we see she has given her so many new, like, you know, things. At 4 o'clock, like, you know, like a bird comes out of her head, and not only that, toaster. There's a toaster function as well in her. So yeah, Nano's not happy. Nano's just continuously shooting at her with the beans. Okay, now we kind of get a little bit of a different, like, you know, side of the story. We go to the rice cake shop guy, and he has hired like this other person, another new person, I think, for the advertisement. And this guy is too excitable, you know. He's like actually trying to talk with everyone with the rice cake thing on his head, mask on his head. Obviously, he, like, you know, the owner, he's not happy about it. He just goes and like punches him. It's like rice cakes don't talk, you know. And she gives, like, you know, he gives some kind of like, you know, speech. He's like, oh, I'm betting this, like, you know, my life on this, like, you know, job, stuff like that. And he gets another punch in the face. So okay, now next again we get to like, you know, Nakamura sensei, and she's ready with her Mr. Short Circuit Kun. And yeah, she's just waiting. I don't know why she thought that the first person that was going to come would be actually Nano. So she just waited, and the first person that got in, she just tased that person. Turns out that was that kid. What's his name? The Mohawk kid. Takahashi, I think that's his name, isn't it? Or something like that. I don't remember. Either way, and Nano came after that, you know, like Nano was just coming with the things. But yeah, she didn't confirm who it was. It just states the first person that got in, and obviously that's going to happen. And I love how Nakamura's like, you know what? The only thing I can see that could be done in this situation is just run away, you know? And yeah. Now, the next section, we see Sakurai Sensei with her younger brother, and you know, she's the student advisor. That's why she's like, oh, like, you know, what's up with your clothing? You know, like put your button on, you know, like the upper part. And as always, siblings, you know, like the little brother is like, no, why should I do that? You do your own job. She's like, I'm the student advisor, so I am doing my own job. And they're kind of like, you know, just bickering in the middle of the hallway, and he tries to get away, and she's always just going and latching onto him, trying to take off the, you know, like upper button, so that like, no, trying to, like, you know, put on the upper button. And while this was happening, obviously, well, I forgot the guy's name, anyways, the guy who likes Sakurai Sensei, he is standing there, and he's like, what is happening? And I'm like, yo, like, first of all, like even if we ignore the whole fact that they're siblings, this student and teacher, what the hell is this guy expecting? I'm like, why? Like, he's so paranoid. Oh my god. And like, that's number one. Number two, look at their faces. You know, like if you look at their faces and their hairstyle, obviously you'll be able to understand. Either there's, like, you know, mother and son, or the student and, like, sorry, their siblings, like either of it, you know. Obviously they're not mother and son, because Sakurai Sensei is not married. So what's left? Yeah, they're siblings. That's the only thing that's left. So and he is just freaking out, like, you know, just in the corner, just like he's like, oh, what's happening, what is going on here? And Sakurai sensei is obviously trying to, like, she's like, oh, like, look at your clothing, why are you dressing like this, like put dress properly, and you also look disheveled at home. And he is just in delusion mode, completely goes into like a weird delusion where Sakurai sensei is wearing a China dress. And and then, like, he's just like, no, stop, you idiot, like, don't imagine stuff like this. And yeah, like, okay, now when all of this was happening, we see a random scene of Mai and her dog. Her dog is as crazy as she is. What's up with the dog? The dog is so excitable. It's just prancing around, like, here and there, just suddenly goes in underwater. And Mai is just looking at the dog. Okay, now again we are back with Sakurai sensei, and this guy's freaking out. Sakurai sensei is trying to, like discipline her brother, and misunderstandings happening. But within all of that, in comes that girl, if I don't know her name, the girl who has the ribbon, on her head. She's like, oh, like, teacher, come quickly. Nakanojo, sorry, not Takahashi. Nakanojo, that's his name. Nakanojo has fainted in the science room. Now, obviously, dilemma, this guy, he's like, okay, should I go for Nakanojo or should I actually see what's happening here? And obviously, he comes to the decision that Nakanojo actually did not faint. That's a conspiracy that's happening. It's a it's something that has not happened. And like, I love the confidence, like how confidently he's like, you know what, listen, Nakanojo actually did not faint. And the girl is like, what? And he's like, oh, you know what might be happening, he's taking a nap. The girl is like, wait, but his pupils is invisible. He's like, all right, then just draw it on, I guess that's the best way. Hands her a marker pen. Oh god. And he's like, do you know what's happening here? Like, and points at Sakurai and her brother. And she's like, yeah, they're siblings. And he's like, okay, let's go to Nakanojo then. How fast he changed. And he's just ready with the, like, just like, ready with the I don't know what you call that, the way you kind of just bend and get ready for a race, that thing. I don't know what you call that, but he was doing that, getting ready, and just starts running, just fast. He's like, yeah, we should hurry. A student is actually fainted. He's in danger. We as teachers should help him out. Like, fast. The change was just so fast. Oh my god. Okay, now we get a scene where I don't know who this person is, like a random baseball dude. He just puts like a cap on like a girl's head, and I don't know what that was. I don't even know who these characters are. So yeah. Okay, now next we see Yuko in the bus. She was trying to, like, just press the buzzer to stop the bus, but random kids behind already pressed the buzzer and they're just laughing. They're like, haha, okay, it's so fun to press the buzzers. And even though, like, most of the times that they press the buzzer, someone went, like, actually, like, got off that stop. Still, what they're doing obviously is an annoyance for not only the bus driver but also the passengers. But kids, what can we say? Oh god. But either way, Yuko's not happy about this. Yuko is like, Mom, do you have a calendar? Mom is like, yep, it's in the drawer. She puts the calendar in and starts just ripping off all the pages, obviously to vent her frustrations. I'm guessing she probably wanted to press the button or something. I don't know. Something like that, I guess. Now again, Nano is trying again. This time she's like, please, Hakase, take off my key. Like, I want to be like an ordinary person, just go to school and have the springtime of my youth. This is the time. And Hakase is like, okay, I can take it. She's like, really? You can take it? She's like, yeah, I can take it. Huh? She's like, oh, thank God. Like, like, quick, Hakase, take the key off. I knew this was going to happen. Something was going to happen, I knew. She put up out the camera and just starts snapping picture. Here, I took it. Oh, God. Oh. And like, Nano is just freaking out. Okay, so one thing, she added like a new feature in her. Like, she's kind of like, just kind of verbally, like, using the sound effects, just bouncing off here and there, like, what is this? She says like, just a sec, where is that part where she actually asks her? Okay, Hakase for a moment just keeps on joking around, like, like she asks her like, what's up with, like, like the key, can it be taken off? And she's always like, kind of just joking around and all. Okay, and here you go. She says, Professor, I've been reacting strangely today. You to do something to me. So I'm guessing all those things that she was doing was actually not like some over exaggerated, like, like sound effects and everything. That was actually happening to her. So basically, whenever these type of crazy things happen, like, when there was like the little section where she suddenly, like, becomes Mario for a moment, just bounces on, like, like on those things, those blocks, and coins come out or something like that happen. These things, so I'm guessing these are actually happening. These are not just special effects and all. So Hakase actually put in a special function like this in her, and Hakase is like, oh, it was just funny, that's why I did it. Nano's not impressed at all. Nano's like, yeah, like, this is not funny, like, okay, quickly, like, change this thing, like, we can deal with the key later, but for now, like, stop this thing that's happening with me. And Akase is like, oh, give me money. And finally Nano's had enough. Nano just like, takes off as like a rocket that just blasts off and just goes on her way. And I don't know whether she came back or not, but what's going to happen after this, I'm guessing we'll see in the next episode. And in the end, we get to see finally Nakanojo, I think that's his name. He got like a single strand of hair. And yeah, so that was it. That was my reaction to this episode. This is episode number 15, another hilarious episode. And yeah, Hakase and her stuff, and obviously Nano wants the key to be gone, but just Nano doesn't want that. Hakase doesn't want that because it's cute or something like that. Anyway, so yeah, and that was it. Thanks for watching. This was my reaction to episode number 15 of Nichijou. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to press the like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel, or you haven't subscribed. Comment down below anything you want to say, anything you want to let me know, and I'll check them out. And yeah, that is it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next week with another episode of Nichijou. Until then, goodbye and have a nice day.